I am worthless.
Hey guys, Christinablackfeather here, and I just thought I would do a video about the process that I'm using for doing these bottles, because I've had a lot of people comment over and over again, well, how are you doing this? What are you doing? So I thought I'd get into it a little bit. I have no bottles ready to prep right now to show you, but basically I've been getting bottles wherever I can. Wine bottles work, peeling labels off of tequila bottles and stuff. Find something that you really like to paint. The labels, generally you're going to have to soak them in hot water and soap for a while and get it so it peels off, and then just take a regular alcohol wipe, like these here, and just wipe the whole glass piece down, and that'll remove any of the residue and your fingerprints. Sometimes I have to use a terpenoid brush cleaner to try and get stuff off, and then go over it after that dries, then go over it with an alcohol wipe again. If you're using bottles for like olive oil or something like that, you have to make sure the inside of the bottle is clean. Dishwasher doesn't always do it. You need to get a bottle brush. You need to get some commercial sanitizer that they use in like pizza restaurants and for brewing and stuff, and a Star San is the name of the stuff, and that works for cleaning out the inside of these bottles, but you got to get them physically cleaned out as well, which I have found with like this one that I'm prepping here has residue inside the bottle that is not going to go away, and I've tried. So these bottles here are just being used for dishwashing soap and hand soap, and there's different adapters that you can get to do that, so that's fine. They're not being used for food. These paints, generally when you do paint, you want this to be on the outside anyway. While it's not supposed to be toxic, it's something you just don't want to really play around with, but you can get some really spectacular effects doing on the outside. Like the chili peppers one is the one that I had finished on the last live stream, and I absolutely love this thing. Some of the other things that you're going to find with these paints is that they don't always like to blend or layer neatly. So you can still see areas where the bottle itself is coming through. This is going to take about 3 more coats. So I'm going to show you what paints I'm using. And I found out it was actually 2 different brands, or not, out of the same company, but 2 different formulations, and I don't know, I think that this one may have been discontinued and they went with this instead. They're both Americana. This one is a multi-surface satin, this is a gloss enamel. What I'm finding is that the multi-surface tends to cover a little better than the gloss enamel does. But even then, with this gloss enamel, to do the teal on the chili pepper bottle, I had to do about 4 or 5 layers of this. This one, this color here in particular, the citron green, is taking about 10 layers total just to do a nice smooth coverage. The old one, the gloss enamels, yikes, I can't read that on camera, sorry. And I can't get it to focus. It's supposed to do 1 to 2 coats, cure for 4 days, and place in a cool oven at 325 and bake for 30 minutes. Okay, so they did have the same temperature. That was me misreading. So yeah, it is the same brand of paint. It's just one's a satin and the other's a gloss. Okay. Never really read that correctly. But once you do your painting, I like to have nitrile gloves on, although last live stream I forgot, just to keep my fingerprints and the oils from my hands off of the glass. And so you do your painting however you want it. These do not blend very easily. It takes a lot of work to get any sort of simulation of blending on it. And even then, it may take multiple layers to do just that. And you can see here, if you look at the glass, there's still some of the glass and light showing through. So these are great for stained glass designs. But blending is very, very tricky and can take multiple layers. It takes a lot of practice to do it. So that's something to keep in mind with these. So once you have your painting design done, this one a lot of these have been curing a lot longer than 7 to 10 days. That's fine. You want minimum of 4 days. But the satin enamels, they say 7. The gloss enamels, they say 4. So I would go no less than 7 days on any of these Americana paints. So then what you do is you're taking your finished designs. I take a metal tray, parchment over top, have it in the oven already, then carefully set the glassware on that tray, and I have it standing up. You got to make sure that you don't, have a small oven where you can bump things and stuff. This, you need your standard cooking oven. You cannot do this, as far as I know, in a small toaster oven or something. That's just not going to happen. If you do lay these down, you probably want to support them with crumpled parchment paper. Don't have metal touch them, because I don't know what it'll do to the paint, if it'll scald the paint at all or anything. So crumpled up parchment paper works to just keep the bottle in place. The parchment paper is not going to catch on fire in the oven. I use it a lot. So these are going cold into a cold oven. You do not preheat at this point. Get everything in there, close the oven door. I turn the light on to remind myself that there's glassware in there and that there's something in the oven, so don't accidentally heat the oven later for food or something and the glass is still in there. That'd be bad. But anyway, you got your cold oven. Turn the light on so you can see what you're doing. Start the oven up to 325. Let's see if these said 325 or 375. Yeah, they're all 325. So turn the oven up from cold. Set the temperature 325. Turn the oven on. Let it preheat then with the glass in the oven. Let it do its 30 minutes of cooking. Shut the oven off. And go about your day. When these are completely cold, after they've been fired, you take them out of the oven. That's it. I've yet to have one crack on me, but you want to make sure, try to find glassware that's not big on bubbles or anything like that in the glass. A lot of cheaper glassware will have that. I don't know how the bubbles will react in the oven, but I have yet to have a problem, and I've fired a lot of bottles so far. So generally it's a really good process. These are supposed to be top rack dishwasher safe afterwards. I do not recommend it, especially if you're doing any detailed painting. Just hand wash really gently. That's it. Do not stick them in the dishwasher. That's how a couple of these bottles, these taller ones, ended up in my hands in the first place, because the family had stuck them in the dishwasher. I don't know what's on the edge of that one. But yeah, that's generally about it. There's nothing else you really need to do to it. I have not tried these paints on ceramic tile. My little ceramic test, of course, when I'm firing is going to be this. And I'm probably going to fire this separate from the glassware, because that bell came from China. I don't know what it's been in storage for a really long time. I don't know if there might be micro cracks in there or something that's going to make it burst. So with these really fancy painted ones, they're getting fired on their own, in part because that's a project that I'm getting paid for. So yeah, that's it. Not a lot to it. And you can find the Deco Art paints, the multi-surface satin, at Joann Fabrics. You cannot find them at Michael's, but otherwise you can find them on Amazon. And just beware on Amazon that sometimes they'll say that the glittery paints from Deco Art will show up on your list of looking for glass paints. They're not the same. So keep that in mind. And I also just thought I would tell you too that Deco Art also has a frosted glass paint under gloss enamels. And these do not cover very thickly. These are kind of like a nice little, I had to do multiple layers on that heart there, for example, and this was the color I used on it. But for an overcoat, to have a little sparkle in something, that would work wonders. Anyway, that's it on this one. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this was helpful. And we'll see you later. Blessed be, everybody.